you gotta find that sweet spot of confidence, not self-doubting and not, overconfident and ego, but right in the middle is just being as confident as you should be, and that will get you places. What's up, Transcend crew? Welcome back to episode 2. Still just kicking this thing off. Today we're talking about some juicy details. We got some awesome weather again, and it seems like every time we record, we just have the best weather. So that must be some kind of sign. I'm sitting here with my buddy Vaughn.
What's up, guys? How are you?
And kicking it right off, I want to talk about purpose. That sounds really broad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But we're going to zone in on the purpose of why, in which we all have in the world of fitness. What is our purpose in being here? What is our purpose in taking it into our own lives and basically just making that part of who we are?
I'm sure it's unique for every person too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different purposes and why people, get involved in fitness and why they stay in fitness. But I guess we'll talk a little bit about what those are today, kind of the general ones we understand, and kind of help our audience determine what theirs was, and just to hear theirs for our own, curiosity and benefit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I know, that work out all the time, or regularly at least, and have that as a solid part of their life, they tend to have many things that are like that going on in their life as far as their personal development. We talked a little bit about that in our last podcast. But it seems like that's just one of the puzzle pieces to live in a full, healthy life, And so it kind of relates to the standards of each individual. Is a person who has high standards also has high standards in everything they're doing, including fitness.
Yeah, agreed. The standards you place on yourself, your own physical progression, are going to carry over into other aspects of your life as well.
That's right. And so, like I mentioned before, a lot of people I know at the gym who I've met at various gyms, they're also practicing high level of focus and, attention and effort. And not only that fitness, but various, areas of their life. And they often have, pretty respectable career paths and things like that as well.
Absolutely.
So, and as you know, a lot of people in the fitness industry, whether it be bodybuilding or triathletes or, anything, they're also doing other big things with their lives.
Yeah. It's just having that progress-based mindset. Personally, a lot of people who I know have talked about having, a moment of clarity or an epiphany, when they realize they're getting into, that they want to improve, right? They're developing this progress-based mindset. There's kind of this oh shit moment where you're like, something needs to change. Maybe this was just a realization, looking in the mirror or climbing up a set of stairs and realizing, I'm out of shape, or, maybe this was actually something really urgent, like medically threatening, like, maybe a heart attack or something, you actually, have to get into the gym.
So it's still a matter of the person's standards, but it's basically they've reached the bottom of what they're allowing their standards to be.
Exactly.
With their health and their fitness, that they need a major change and quick.
You hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up, right? Yeah. So
either that or you're done.
Yep. So whether or not it be like life or death, or whether it just be, something needs to change. Adopting that progression-based mindset is imperative, and in order to do that, you kind of need to find a sweet spot, right? You need to find something that suits you as an individual. And this ultimately comes down to what your individual goals are, as well as things that you just enjoy doing, right? So when you're developing a fitness routine, don't make it something you genuinely dislike doing. Like, if you fucking hate running, don't like run, find something that's enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, and I think that that's just such a huge misconception in the world of fitness. Is
So
that
if someone's goal is basically to lose weight and they hate running, that you can look for alternatives like swimming or getting a bike.
exactly, and that's such a big misconception in the world of fitness, is that people almost think that they need to hate doing it in order to make progress, and that's just not
Yeah.
the case. You can progress doing something you love, and I mean that's what Casey and I have found in the gym and lifting weights in
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
And and I think it's easy for doing the things you and I do in the gym. It's not hard, right? It would be easy for us to look at that and be like, fuck, I got to do that again.
Yeah.
That really is difficult every time I do it. But that's never because of our mindset.
Mhm.
I think you and I have pretty much the same mindset. Is basically we don't think about it like that.
Yeah.
We basically think it as, okay, we have to eat to survive.
Agreed.
So our standard is we have to do those things in the gym and make it a consistent part of our routine to keep the standard we've created already, and the standard we're holding ourselves to long term. And so it really comes down to that mindset is, are you viewing it as a chore, or are you viewing it as an opportunity or a privilege?
Yeah. Is it something that you have to do, or is it something that you get to do, right?
Absolutely. And it wouldn't be a fitness podcast if we didn't mention Arnold. And Arnold always used to say, he never thought about all the grueling details and the physical efforts and, how much you have to eat and how much you have to lift and how much you have to rest and how difficult all those things were. He never thought about it. The only thing he can keep in mind was his vision, the end result of that championship and his was biggest you can imagine, which was being the best of all time. And at least up until his retirement, he was,
I think
and a lot of people still think so today.
I think, yeah, I mean,
40 years later.
Undisputably, he is one of the best bodybuilders of all time. And, quite honestly, just from a personal standpoint, doing all of this, going through the pain, I mean, because lifting, like you go in there and you go hard, like if you're actually bodybuilding in the gym, that shit hurts, man.
Oh yeah.
But the fact is that it's so intrinsically linked to progress that I enjoy every single moment of it. Like I love it. And that's just something that comes with having a progressive based mindset, is just you start, regardless of how hard it is, you just start to love it. And so I guess finding that area in which you can just groove, right? That is just so key into developing a successful fitness routine.
That's right. And a very intelligent man I once heard from said, progress is happiness. It is what keeps us going, whatever area that is. But fitness is one of those areas where it's so visibly and biochemically, something you can see the progress in and feel progress in, like you mentioned last time. And so it's one of those things that once you start getting a taste of that progress, it just gets that train rolling. And it's very difficult to slow down. But momentum works towards you or for you, whichever way you decide to let it go. And if you're spiraling down out of control and becoming obese and having heart conditions and in and out of the ER, that's the momentum of your decisions. And same with building as much muscle as you can and losing as much fat as you can in a healthy way. It carries on the same way with that momentum. And so momentum can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
You're a product of the efforts you put in. And so here at Transcend, we are all about getting off of your lazy ass and doing something with your life. We are not going to sugarcoat things. Sugar is bad for you. We might get into cursing. We might get controversial. If you're easily offended, this podcast might not be the best for you, but I think that we've got some pretty good insight. And quite frankly, we have strong opinions. We know what works for us. So, if you're curious, then absolutely, I want you to stay with us. Listen to what we've got to say.
Yeah, that being said, we're not going to try and cookie cut, like the positive mindset bullshit that you might hear in various places on YouTube or, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
in paid advertising on TV or, any kind of self-help book.
Yeah. We're not about all the the stereotypical crap
We
here.
we simply just want to talk about things that have worked for us over time
Mm-hmm.
and that are continuing to work, and the things that we're learning that we truly believe in and adopt. And we're calling that the transcendent mindset,
Mm-hmm.
along with the idea of not ever giving in or giving up or being a victim of circumstance in any way. Those together create what is called the transcendent mindset.
Yeah.
And so, fitness and transcendent mindset is what we're all about. So, I don't know. Let's get in a little more into fitness stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking about developing this progression based mindset, right? We're talking about developing a successful routine, something that's actually going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some really basic, like 101, like do's and don'ts to this. One of the things that I think is met with the least amount of success when it comes to doing this is when you completely overhaul your lifestyle overnight and making changes. If you go on a diet and all of a sudden you cut out like all of this shit from your diet, that's great. But are you actually going to be able to, be consistent with that? If you can, then by all means go for it. But what I've seen for most people is that when you make a gigantic change overnight,
It's very temporary.
yeah, it is. It's temporary because humans are habitual creatures. We are creatures of habit. And so therefore, habits are hard to break, and it's much easier to break a habit when you're making small and incremental changes, when you're easing into a routine. And when you do this, you're going to have a lot lower of a tendency to rebound.
Yeah, and very few people I've ever met in life who wanted to make a change and make a very giant leap to do so. It never lasts. I've seen it over and over and over. Um, just like New Year's resolutions is it's almost an idea, a tryout versus an actual change of life, a lifestyle change. And there are ways for those people who often quit on those, resolutions to actually make the plan work, but it's a much more incremental, much more gradual style of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do believe the cold turkey approach works for some, like it does for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
There's been a whole handful of things I've given up that I was addicted to, just cold turkey, and it was not easy.
No.
Feeling that addiction and that withdrawal was fucking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to put it straight. And it lasted weeks
Yeah.
and months in some cases. But I knew it was what I had to do because that was my standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so if you have the standards in order to change your life for the better, that's what makes it easier. That's what makes it, mechanical in a sense, is you just know what has to be done. And that's why some of us eat what we do, the healthiest food we can find, and a lot of it to build muscle and trim fat, is we know what it's doing to our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as much as we need to be able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as we need to know what we should and shouldn't eat.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
Same with training.
Mm-hmm.
So the belief is a major point of whatever you're doing in life. Belief is going to be the machine behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, part of that is you gotta have a why, right? You gotta have a purpose when you're developing a belief. There are different levels to belief too. I mean, there's believing you're never going to take the first step, right up until believing you'll be the best in the world. So yeah, whatever the belief is, I mean, I guess it just depends on how you adopt it into your mindset, right?
Yeah, and I don't know what comes first between belief and desire. It's kind of
Mhm.
like the chicken or the egg,
Mhm.
but you need both. And sometimes
Agreed.
one fuels the other. And
Yeah.
sometimes the desire itself allows the belief to exist,
Mhm.
and sometimes vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't believe that you can obtain something for yourself, then failure is basically right out of the gate. I mean, it's just going to be a waste of time, ultimately. So, I think we believe that everybody needs some level of fitness in their lives. But, some people might believe that they can't do it. And uh, we urge you to change that belief. We think you can. we're we're gonna be slightly motivational for a second. We think that you can do it, and some people, think believe, they know they can do it, right?
Mhm.
And they've gotten into a routine. They've kind of established this progression based mindset, but they might actually take it too far, and they might be doing this for the wrong reasons, right?
Right. So people can actually believe in a harmful matter, or overbelieve, and it can actually
Mm-hmm.
create some kind of repercussions in life that aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, just like everything, there's moderation. I don't believe that I can dictate America. I should never.
No.
And if I had that belief, it would be very dangerous.
Yeah.
But there's a just like a lot of things. There's a healthy scale. Yeah, so I think having belief is an important thing. You got to have belief in yourself, or else you're not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's confidence, right?
Yeah.
Confidence is something everyone needs to get anywhere with what they want to do. Then there's overconfidence, otherwise ego,
Ego.
which is
Yeah.
almost false generated, or you believe you're better than everybody, pretty much. And we see the difference between confidence and egotistical in all kinds of areas, with athletes, for
Yeah.
example, or people at the gym, or musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so the ones that I respect in each of those, industries are the ones who are very confident members of the society, but not egotistical.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a fine line between ego and confidence, right? Like being full of yourself and just knowing what you're capable of, right? So, I mean, I feel like confidence is right, the knowledge that you are capable of doing something, and then actually going out and doing it, right? And doing it with fervor,
Right.
having, like showing your strength while doing it. That's confidence. Ego is shoving what you're doing down everybody's throat, shoving it in everybody's face. Everybody around you has to know what you're doing.
Right.
That's ego.
And putting others down for not being at the same level
Yeah,
that you are.
agreed. Yeah.
Um, and a lot of us probably went through a stage of that, a little taste of it,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
to find out that's who we don't want to be.
Mhm.
But most of us went through that phase in our teenage years, for example,
Yeah.
and don't want to adopt that behavior at any point again. Um, where you see that a lot is in competition, ego versus confidence, um, which kind of leads me into one is a healthy mindset.
Mhm.
One is healthy, one's good, one's genuine, and one is not. One's unhealthy and fake, and even harmful.
Mhm.
And so let's talk a little bit more about healthy versus unhealthy mindsets. So, like I said, confidence good, ego not good.
Agreed.
But there's a good, healthy aspect of competition as well, just like there's its counterpart, which is not so healthy.
Mhm.
If you see your competitor as an enemy, that's probably a mindset you got to work on changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you have a competitor or an opposer who you appreciate and respect but want to beat in competition, that's another thing. And when you can basically build each other up until you're on stage, or until you're, whatever the sport may be, until you're opposing each other on the field or the court, whatever it may be, that's healthy. Behind the scenes, you're friends. You're good people to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And on the court, like, let's just do what we're here to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Franco Columbo, right?
Absolutely. Those guys were best friends outside of off the stage,
Yeah.
and they pushed each other every day to try and beat one another,
Uh-huh.
and it was never unhealthy.
Yeah, it was just ingrained in their mindset and their attitude surrounding the sport. They were friends, but ultimately they used the competitive factor of their relationship to better themselves on an individual level.
Yeah, and so we have friends and brothers and people like that who we use as a matter of speaking, to better ourselves, but in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, my brother and I, Garrett, we're very close in life, and we're very close as far as our fitness levels, go. And so we are a healthy competition for one another all the time. And you and I are kind of the same way as well.
Very much agreed. Yeah.
So one thing we do want to do is look for those people that are maybe at our level, just barely ahead, or even far ahead, to make sure that we are never falling back,
Mm-hmm.
that we're always striving forward. It basically goes along with the don't be the smartest guy in the room,
Mm-hmm.
or the biggest guy in the room.
Yeah.
That kind of a fundamental. It's when you're working with people that are ahead of where you're at,
Yeah.
that can only further your progress and increase your pace.
Yeah.
At what you're going.
Yeah. So I think that it's really important, again, to elaborate on the difference between confidence, which is healthy, and healthy competition, and then ego, which is unhealthy, and the unhealthy competitive aspects that come from it. With ego, which is the unhealthy mindset that we urge you to try to avoid, you are trying to be better than everybody else. With an unhealthy competitive mindset, you want to be the best in an unhealthy way. You want to prove to everybody around you that you are better than them. And so you set a pedestal to which you try to climb to, a platform which you try to reach, a platform that is set directly above everybody else around you. But once you get there, there's nowhere else to go because you've achieved that. That's what people who are egotistical, who have this unhealthy competitive mindset, who want to be better than everybody else, this is kind of the conundrum they face. At some point, they get to a level where they perceive themselves to be better than all those around them. And at that point, all of the motivation, all of the factors that go into them wanting to improve themselves are gone, because in their mind, they're better than everybody else. If you don't care about that, if you embrace a healthier competitive mindset, then you're only working on improving yourself as an individual. And in that case, the sky is the limit, right? There's no pedestal above other people. There's no magic formula or solution or place to be where all of a sudden you can prove that you're better than everybody else. And I think that's the mindset that we really want to try to instill in you.
Yeah. And so basically there's some basic fundamentals that make people good members of society,
Mm-hmm.
wherever that is. And being egotistical basically is saying to society, in your words and your actions, that they're above you. They're
Mm-hmm.
above the law in a matter of speaking, So just be confident, but don't be egotistical. I mean, know that you're good, but know where you sit on that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think for a second that you're better than you are. I mean, we should all understand our own values
Mm-hmm.
and live that way.
Yeah.
But not in comparison. For me to say, my value I see being this high, but that guy that's over there, I'm going to treat him different than I would treat Vaughn because I don't see his value as high as yours. I'm not.
Agreed. Yeah.
That all aligns within ego, you know?
Yeah. Have some humility, right?
Yeah. So coming back to competition for a quick second, one thing I wanted to mention is, you know, there's all kinds of reasons people want to take part in competition, whether it be bodybuilding or anything within fitness competitions or sport. Um, and again, there's healthy and unhealthy versions of that as well. Um, I want to give my personal experience with why I decided to do a NPC bodybuilding competition, which I plan to do more of, and I think you plan on.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's some exciting prospects for the future with that too.
So there's various reasons for actually taking part in something like that, and for me, I think I found a healthy reason and healthy purpose to do so, and that was I knew that that was going to be my accountability tool
Yeah.
to get me to where I needed to be and to bring my best. You know, it wasn't about any individual who I was going up against on the stage. It was about me reaching a point where I'd never been before in my life, physically and healthily. I used that, otherwise wouldn't have been able to obtain this status without that accountability. I used that to get me there, and knew that without that or something like it, I wouldn't care enough. You know,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be important enough to me to actually get to that point.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's a healthy perspective and purpose in doing something like that. But also understand there's unhealthy
Yeah.
approaches as well. If you're doing this with ego, basically that takes a lot away from you.
Yeah.
Personally,
Agreed.
is you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You're doing it against other people and for the social media and for the likes, for the status,
Yeah.
things like that.
Don't do it for that.
Which it actually takes away the true facets of why you should be doing that, and just demolishes it. So it takes away the genuine feelings one should have in progressing and bettering themselves and reaching new milestones that you've never reached before.
Yeah.
See, those are the things that we should be focused on and proud about when we reach them. But when someone is looking at professional athletes, for example, and being disappointed that they're not at that level, you know, of their idol, then that's directly comparing yourself to another individual who's completely on a different path, right?
Yeah, very much agreed in that. I mean, that kind of brings me to this aspect of jealousy, right? Which is another unhealthy habit that I'm sure a lot of us have experienced, but that we do not recommend for any application to your fitness goals. So, you know, I have had a personal experience with jealousy, as I'm sure Casey has, and I'm sure, you know, any functional human being has. You know, especially with, you know, how common, you know, fitness people are on Instagram these days. It seems like everybody has a fucking fitness account. Everybody is going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger on Instagram. But anyways, you know, if you're on there for a long period of time and you just start seeing people who in your mind are better than you, and you know, you're just like, well, it's just really debilitating, because you're like, well, what do I have to do to get on their level? Am I ever going to be that good? And you know, it's just this like circular mindset where you're on these social media platforms, you're looking at these people, or maybe there's even like someone in the gym who's like way fucking bigger, way fucking stronger than you, and you're just like, damn, why can't I be like that? Well, here's the simple truth: not everyone is equal. You know, not everybody is equal. Some people are hardworking. You know, maybe the fucking reason why that person looks better than you is because they're working harder than you are. Right. You know, and that's just the simple truth of it. That's not to say that you cannot be at that level. You know, don't get pissed off about the fact that somebody has put like countless hours of work and dedication into something and are seeing good results. That is not something you should be pissed off about. You should be fucking happy for them, because Obviously, they're doing great things and they're killing it. But and that's not to say that you cannot do the exact same thing. And
Or even better.
yeah, and you just got to keep in mind too, like every man and woman is inferior to every other man and woman in some way, right? Like who we are as people is such a multifaceted thing. Like there's going to be strengths, there's going to be weaknesses, and we just have to learn how to really highlight our strengths and work on our weaknesses, acknowledge where we're weak, and don't get pissed off about the fact that you're not where you want to be somewhere. Don't get pissed off, but instead use it as motivation to improve.
Right. So I really like that idea of not everyone's equal, which of course goes against kind of what society says all the time. But that's what society is often wanting to relate to is everyone's born equal, right? Everyone should have equal opportunity. But the truth of the matter is not everyone acts equally.
No.
Not every. I mean, there's the people who absolutely take for granted their life, their fitness,
Yeah.
their careers, their social circles. They basically spit in the face of it.
Agreed.
And then there's others who work their ass off, appreciate, have gratitude for, always progress in every area of their life, including fitness. And so that makes those two people completely opposite. They're not equal at all.
No.
Sure, they're born equally. They're equal in the matter of what they have the right for, but they do not act equally.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, you're equal on the aspect of your humanity.
So I believe based on the way you act and live your life is what determines what makes a good, solid person, and whether you're taking your life for granted or letting it just waste away.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. And so, I mean, a lot of this comes down to, I guess, that point, coming to that point of realization, that epiphany, where you finally decide that you're fed up with mediocrity. You decide that there is an improvement that you want to make in your life. That's not to say you get pissed off and start getting unmotivated because you see everybody else around you looks like they're doing so much better. It's not what you do. Don't do that. No. Use other people's success as your motivation. Don't try to be better than them, but use that motivation to better yourself and see your own self-improvement as never ending. Like there's never going to be a peak. There's never going to be a point of perfection. Even Mr. Olympia, even freaking Tom Brady, like highest level athletes you can get, they all can still learn. They all can still improve.
They all were at the same point we are at right now.
Exactly.
At some point.
Exactly.
And the belief level between me and Tom Brady is the only thing keeping me from becoming a 7-time or 8-time, however many time Super Bowl champion. Well, the desire, of course, too, the belief and the desire.
Yeah.
But those are both, equal parts. And the only difference is, doing it and believing in it. That's the only thing keeping me from getting there.
I agree.
That's the difference between an extreme failure and an extreme success is the belief and motivation for almost everything in life.
Yeah. When you embark on this journey of self-progression, my advice to you, our advice to you is don't just become obsessed with trying to be the absolute best, right? Just set some fucking goals and, obtain a realistic approach to reaching those goals. Don't just go around I know this is going to sound really stereotypical, but don't just go around and compare yourself to other people without some actually realistic basis of comparison. And you realize your worth, right? Realize that you're capable of doing what these people are doing. You just got to get up off of your fucking ass and actually get to work.
Yeah. Your current worth is not your permanent worth.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Or your current capabilities. Nothing is permanent
Yeah.
from where you're at right now to where you could be or should be or want to be. And we can launch forward, we could spiral down.
Agreed.
We can inch ahead day by day, or we can fall back
Yeah.
day by day.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is, though, I mean, once you do start seeing results, once you do start seeing progress, don't let that go to your head, man. I see so many people who just get so gassed up because they start seeing progress, they start seeing results. Maybe they win a competition, or they win a game in whatever sport they're doing, or win a championship or several, and all of a sudden they get it in their heads that they're the best in the world, when that's just not the case. Nobody's the best in the world.
Yeah, it transfers from confidence to ego.
Exactly.
And just don't let that happen. Whatever does happen, you gotta find that sweet spot of confidence, not self-doubting and not overconfident and ego, but right in the middle is just being as confident as you should be. And that will get you places.
Yeah.
So I guess that's going to wrap us up for this episode. We want to ask the audience a few questions first before we go. Starting with, I guess, what do you think your initial purpose for getting involved in fitness was in the first place?
And another question you might consider is like, is that original purpose still the same as it is today? Or has it changed? Have you found a new one? A lot of the times, our original intention for starting something manifests into something else. Right. And, is that change for the better or for the worse?
Yeah, I've heard of people, starting with one goal and achieving that goal and not stopping and just keep going. Yep. For example, someone who's lost 100 pounds of body weight, they reach that goal, and now the next goal becomes, okay, now I want to step on stage in a competition.
Yeah.
So basically that's that catapult of momentum.
But it can also be detrimental, right? Because if you lose 100 pounds of body weight, you're down to 200 pounds. Well, if you lose another 100 pounds, then you only weigh 100 pounds, and then all of a sudden you're anorexic. So, right, it's like, don't let those goals get out of hand either, right? So make sure that your purpose is healthy, right? Make sure that it's actually still working on an aspect or facet of your improvement.
Yeah. And another question I have is, are you doing this for yourself? Or are you doing this for someone else or other people? And is this for being the best in the room or the best in your potential? Because there's a very big difference between the two.
Yeah.
Is one is very limiting, if there's not very many impressive people in that room.
Yeah.
But your own individual potential is whatever you make it, whatever you believe it is.
Very much.
So it could be the best in any room in the world, for all we know.
Yeah. Something else you might consider. Have you ever had that unhealthy perspective within competition, right? Have you ever let it get out of hand to where either you're, obsessed with beating someone else or jealous of someone else, or it goes to your head like you get egotistical or something? Have you ever had that unhealthy perspective, and were you able to fix it? If you have it right now, like, acknowledge it and then think, how can I improve on this? How can I fix it?
Right. Yeah, sometimes people's only problem is their ego. And that can be the only thing that needs to be fixed within someone, because they have all the talent in the world, and created their only problem they actually have is the ego.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself confident or egotistical? Or on the opposite side of the coin, do you doubt yourself and what you're capable of?
Yeah.
So like we said, there's that spectrum. Where do you lie on that spectrum?
Yeah.
Currently.
There is that fine line between confidence and egotism, or I don't know if egotism is a word. I think it is.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's a word. But
we're gonna make up plenty of words on this show.
But there's that fine line, right? Like, are you acting with confidence? Are you acting with power? Asserting. Do you know you can do something? Or are you, on the other side, do you like know you can do something, but you also have to know or have to let everybody else know that you know what you're doing. You have to shove your success in everybody's face, right? There's that difference. There's that difference between confidence and being egotistical.
Right. Well, and ask these people the most important and final question of the day.
Yeah, so our most important question, uh, do you believe that you have what we call the transcendent mindset? And that is bettering yourself every single day, being a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday.
All right, with that, guys, please consider those questions. Ask yourself where you lie on each of those answers, and we want to hear from you. We're going to be, we're going to be listening to everyone who reaches out to us and what comments and questions you have. We're going to be answering questions and replying to comments because we want to learn our community. We want to learn our audience because you guys are just the same as us. You're of that transcendent mindset. You want to better yourselves, become better each day, and we want to follow along that journey with you. Because Vaughn's great company, but I don't know if you're enough.
Yeah, guys. So feel free to comment. Any constructive feedback, or you could just throw us some hate or whatever you want. But we want our listeners to engage with us, and we also want to address any questions or concerns that you have, and make sure always follow, subscribe. Yeah, we'll be doing this again next week.
Yeah, the next episode will be ready by the time you get done hearing this one. So we'll tune in with you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.